you were featured in a documentary that looks captivating. And I was feeling a lot of deja vu a little bit. Like this collection that we got was very special. 350,000 comic books with a lot of gold and amazing keys, clearly. But there was another collection find that was kind of rediscovered by the family who inherited them. And there's a movie that was created around it. And you were brought in as well as a lot of leaders of the industry. And I'm hoping you can share what this documentary is about and your involvement.
Yeah, so this is the title of the movie is going to be Selling Superman. Okay, it should be coming out sometime mid 2024 allegedly. Go check out sellingsuperman.com. They have a couple sizzle reels there, an explanation about what it's about, and then a second one discussing a label, because they were able to get their own label for the first time ever.
Custom label through CGC, because there's a giant collection here that we're talking about.
Yeah, provenance, and we'll get more into that. So I met the inherited owner of this book at a convention.
The collection.
Yeah, of the collection, excuse me. So we got into details. He started to expressing to me what's the whole story and the amount and what's in it and everything that's encompassing in this collection. And it was an amazing tale because it talks about mental health. It talks about the struggles of a family. It talks about where they began, where they're ending with it, and what their journey has been like. So this is a tale of a father who amassed this collection into a home, a family home. And this is about 300,000 comics. So imagine boxes everywhere in rooms that the family was not allowed to be in. Okay, you have a family living in a house, and you don't ever get to see these comic books because it's the father's only. And it led to such turmoil in the family because he was a very bright man. Okay, but he had his issues. All right, he had Asperger's, so. Instead of that being something he dealt with, it was more something that he
kind of treated comics with a little bit.
It kind of went undiagnosed. He didn't want to address it. He just wanted to live with it. So that affected his ability and his living style, which overflowed into the family, which ultimately led to the divorce between him and his wife. And again, it was something that they didn't love. They hated it, in fact, because it tore apart a family. But now that he's passed away, it's become something they're finally getting to see and enjoy as a family, and it's now bringing the family back together because now they're trying to realize, what do we do with this? We have 350,000 comics. We have no idea what's in there. And in there is some absolutely amazing pieces.
My father got the first solo issue of Superman from 1939. It was locked away for decades. He found out that was the second nicest copy of that book on the planet. That book could easily go for $3 to $4 million.
Well, what's something that was very intriguing about the trailer is that the wife said that it resulted in a divorce, and the son said had he not inherited these comics, the wife probably would have just thrown them away.
If I wasn't around, there would be a big dumpster outside, and she would just own them. Actually, she'd recycle them.
And then he doubles back and says, actually, she would have recycled them. That's how much disdain there was as far as how this negatively impacted the family and the lack of, I guess, willingness to address the mental health issues that this gentleman was enduring. But the comics are crazy. It's like that. It's like keep it behind the torpedo vault kind of comics.
Yeah, and it's not so much even about their value, okay? Because for the family's well off already. And right now they're trying to flip this around and having it, instead of it being something that destroyed a family, they're trying to find ways to bring these books to the community and to the right people. And don't get me wrong, there's still financial benefits to it here and there for them, but it's not about that. I mean, it's very interesting when you listen to Darren, who's the gentleman who's leading up the collection, who inherited for the most part for the family. Go check them out. Check out some YouTube. Comics in Chaos. We had One True New York King and Rage Steel put out they had an interview with him. So go check that out on YouTube.
Yeah, they're actually going to be helping sell the collection, and we just did an interview with them about CRASHDOWN recently. You can go find them on YouTube.
Yeah, and the reason they chose those two is not because they're the best people to sell this collection online, because they'll be selling it on Instagram here. It's because of the story that they both shared. All right, they both have an emotional story that comics brought into their lives. And so they connected through that. And so now they are in this position where they're going to help them sell these books.
That's really cool.
There's so much to this story and this family that I encourage you to go look it up and really start Googling. Check out sellingsuperman.com. Check out YouTube. There's been a lot of great interviews. It's super touching. I'm really excited for it because I do think it's going to be something really captivating for people, because it goes from something, the story is going to be a full circle of trauma to resolution to possibly a happy ending, and that's what we want.
So you were actually invited to be part of the documentary, and I've seen some clips of it. I'm hoping you could give the community a little bit of insight of what you discussed, maybe give them a little bit of a preview about what maybe isn't available in the documentary just yet. Like, where did you play a role in all this? Because I only know of one book that has actually sold from this collection. It was a Batman 1 graded at an 8.0.
Yeah, so the Batman one, like you mentioned, was an 8.0. It had I believe it was the first book ever sold with the new label, the Fantast label. And the Fantast label, when you look at it, there's a lot going on, but it tells the whole story and tale about what the family had to endure and all the parties that played in that journey.
Yeah, you mentioned Pedigree versus
Provenance.
Good time to explain the difference, because a lot of people didn't know Pedigrees when we talked about it last.
So Pedigree is a collection that was amassed by an original owner off the shelves or when the books came out, okay? And usually it entails books of extremely high grade and importance in the collectible. As for Provenance, it's a collection that was assembled by a person of all, doesn't have to be all errors, but it was more assembled together, not something they bought off the stands. And that's what this is. And they've had Provenance around. They've given collections names like Nicolas Cage and, others. But this is the first time anything has ever been assigned its own label. And so now it is called the Fantast, they named it. And Fantast is a very special word that is related to the father who owned these. And I forget what the direct definition is, but there is a correlation of why they use that. Well, again, go check out sellingsuperman.com because it explains the whole thing to you there. So for these books, like we mentioned, they have their own label, and we're actually going to get our own label for this collection that we're dropping.
I was just going to ask about that. Yeah, it sounds like something you guys would get a provenance for.
Yeah, and we would be the second. I just got to wrap up this label, and which is kind of exciting because I didn't see that coming. But anyways, back to this collection.
So yeah, why'd they rope you in? Because obviously you're a golden age specialist. Did they ask you about any gold? What was your expertise as far as what did they seek from you as far as information is regards?
Well, that's exactly it. They wanted to get another perspective of somebody who's in the industry who can really discuss these books, because they didn't really know the books. They don't know the history of everything. Okay, this is just dropped in their lap. Okay, so I'm there to help shed some light to the hobby and to the history of comics and really go through it and see what's there.
Did you get a vibe that they already knew and had a plan of what they were going to do with these comics, or were they just kind of taking it all in?
No, they're taking it all in. I think step by step. I think every day was a learning experience for them as they go through this.
Wow, so they knew that this was something special, and they're like, just turn the cameras on. We got to get a director here, document the process as they figure it out.
Yeah, so the actual director went to high school with the owner of the collection now, and he just kind of brought it up, and then there was this push to we should tell the story about this because of what the tale is. It's pretty, like I said, captivating and intriguing. And so they started to film, and it's just coming together, and it's just growing, and it's just snowballing into this big thing that's involving so many people now in the industry and who are all very excited to be a part of it.
What specifically did you see, and what specifically did you talk about?
I saw Superman 1, 7.0, which at the time was the second highest graded. It was a 7.0 and I believe 2 8.0s. But within this short amount of 9 months to a year, one of those 8.0s sold for, I think it was $5 million. and I believe it was even almost privately, but it might have been recorded now, and was upgraded to an 8.5.
Wow.
So now it is the third highest graded, whatever. So it's at least a $3 to $4 million book probably in this market. And there's that question they're asking is selling Superman is what would you do with this book? That's the point of it. You have this amazing book they had no idea the father had, but now it's in this collection. So that's the question and what it is. What would you do?
Because the father didn't sell it, so he already made his decision, right? He died with it. And then the family has to kick that question around. Did they ask you?
They asked me specifically.
What did you say?
I mean, I kind of took it a little analytical. I was like, if you don't need to sell it, I probably would not sell it.
Don't sell it now, right? If anything, don't sell it right now when the market's low.
I mean, for books like that, the market isn't
right. There's no.
be low.
It's
one of those
thing.
market-proof books.
Fair.
You know? So for me, I was just like, listen, if you're not in a situation where you have to sell this book, do not sell this book. There's so many other books for you to sell here. You know, you have 300,000+ books. You might as well focus on those and, you know, keep this thing. I mean, hand it down. It's a piece of your life. It's a piece of
American history.
American history, exactly. 1939, you know, Spider-Man's first solo title
Is in 63.
I see what you did there.
Or 62. Was ASM 1 is 62, right?
Right. Jeff said Spider-Man. Yeah.
You said Spider-Man.
Oh, I said Spider-Man?
Superman.
Superman. 1939, first solo in his title, okay? Super tough book. Far more rare than that Batman 1 that they just sold on Heritage. It was an 8.0 and it sold for just a little over $1.1 million. So I got to see both those books. They had an entire vault of books. I mean, it was unbelievable. And there's 3 massive storage containers, multiple levels of security. I mean, this is not only a storage facility, but it's also like a full operation because now they're going through boxes upon boxes. And guess what? They are not organized. Nothing is organized. All right, you will be in a box with bronze, silver, gold repeatedly you just don't know. You have to literally go through every single box and you will pull out some treasure book and some nonsense book right next to it. So it's very interesting. It's a ton of work and stick around for the journey because there's going to be updates and it's really going to be fun. I think it's going to be really good.
I want to know from you, Ryan, if you had a Superman #1 just come out because of you inherited one, someone gifted it to you, and Jeff said, if you don't need it, you probably shouldn't sell it, what would you do?
I would sell it only because I cannot be trusted to hang on to anything that valuable. Like something would happen, my house would get hit by a meteor or get rolled over by the world's largest bulldozer or some terrible bad thing would happen and it would, you know, break or get damaged. I don't trust myself. I wouldn't want to, you know, it belongs in a museum, as greater people than me have said.
And you're not the only one. A lot of people feel very uncomfortable owning expensive things. And that's true. I mean, that's a very, very expensive single item to own.
Most people end up just doing a lockbox at a bank.
I think that book crosses over the value, the border into like priceless kind of territory. That's like, I don't even want to like look at that thing. Mm-hmm. It's too important to, you know, history, really.
It's more about the grade as well for me on this one. Like, that's really impressive. But Superman 1 has never been a comic I've been like super excited about. But it's very significant, especially how old it is.
Yeah, and it reprints Action Comics 1, so it isn't like a full original story. So, but again, extremely tough book, nonetheless.
Okay, new question. If you had to sell it,
yeah,
and you had to, the only caveat to selling is you have to sell it, and you got to put the $3 or $4 million into another couple or single comic book, what would the comic be? You have $3 to $4 million. You have to spend it. You're taking the Superman 1. Don't say you'll buy a couple lower grade Superman ones.
No, I mean, I'm looking for a Tech 27 Marvel Comics 1 and probably a Cap 1. Those are my 3.
What are your 3?
And a Suspense 3, by the way.
Suspense 3.
And Fantastic 3. I can keep going.
What about you, Ryan? Anything off the cuff? You have to buy it. Any Golden Age book.
Man. I don't have grails. Not really. I'm trying to get every Green Lantern book.
I'm going to take the money from you. You have to pick something.
Well, then I'll use it to fund my pull list for and forever. I'm a modern kid. Give me my current modern pull list stuff.
Ryan
Give me
wants
$3 million of
comics for
credit
life.
at my LCS. Give it to Russ.
Russ is gonna manage
But it has to go to the shop, Russ. You can't just take the money because I know you.
What would you spend $3 to $4 million on, Comic Fam?